The issue of hudud, which is the issue of the capital punishments in Islam. And subhanAllah, whenever I go, wherever there's a debate, there's always a talk about how Islam is supposedly so harsh in punishing certain crimes and there's no leniency in it, and it's, some people say this is like kind of dark ages, medieval kind of punishment, while at the same time, subhanAllah, it is one of the biggest signs of mercy that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has upon ourselves. I remember it was last June, I was in a debate in the country of Sweden, and one of the people that were debating with me was a member of the Swedish parliament. And when I spoke and I tried to explain with, the limited comprehension of regular people, she said, you know what, how could we, cut someone's hand or, yield to these punishment? This cannot be, understood. And she was like, subhanAllah, kind of scared even when she was talking and debating the issue. So inshallah, we will talk about him briefly because we will talk about him later, but there was an allegation at this junction in the book, so we will address it quickly. First of all, there's 6 capital punishments, 6 hudud in Islam. Anyone knows which ones? You have hadd al-qatl, you have hadd al-sariqa, killing and stealing. And it's not just stealing, we'll speak about that briefly. There's hadd al-zina, there's hadd al-qadhf. There's when people commit adultery and people accuse people falsely of committing adultery, they will be punished for that. And there's hadd al-ridda, people who commit apostasy and denounce Islam in public and go against Islam in public. And the last one, anyone knows? Anyone remembers? Hadd al-hiraba, which is, to summarize it, when people terrorize people or indiscriminately kill innocent people or hurt innocent people or indiscriminately scare people into thinking that they will be killed, then it is hadd al-hiraba, and it's the most severe of all these punishments. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala clearly tells us, وَلَكُمْ فِي الْقَصَاصِ حَيَاةٌ يَا أُولِي الْأَلْبَابِ. In Islam, it's not about punishment or about vengeance. You did or you commit this mistake, then we will punish you for this. And the verse specifically speaks about the capital punishment of killing the killer. Okay, the guy who already died, we're not bringing him back to life by killing his killer. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us, no, this is not about what he has done. This is about do it in public, so the killer of the future, the one who is going to take someone's life in the future, would see the punishment with his own eyes. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us and He knows our nature, so He would be deterred from committing the same crime. So in applying that punishment, you are actually saving someone else's life. So these capital punishment in Islam is a deterrent to stop you from committing that. For example, and I always give that example, in Saudi Arabia, and they have many laws that is directly taken from Sharia, and they have laws that do not adhere with Sharia, but they have the right to make their own laws. It's a sovereign country, that they have the right, like any other country, to make their own laws. The maximum amount of capital punishments, cutting the head off a killer or cutting the hand of a thief and whipping and all that, in its entire history was 77 in 1 year. All of them, 77 in 1 year. The amount of violent crimes that happened in America, violent crimes, and people being gunned down, for example, one of them, there are 34 people that are killed via guns every single day. That's just murders. Let alone armed robberies, let alone injuries, let alone all that. And subhanAllah, when you look at it practically, now in 2013, never mind I'm a Muslim, never mind I know anything about Islam, I came from another planet. I have a country that is Saudi Arabia, 30 million people, and I have America that is 300 million people. So the ratio is 1 to 10. So if in Saudi Arabia they apply capital punishments upon 77 people, then if America is equally safe, then they should have 770 crimes a year. No, they have 4 million. And any time, and learn this, and this is of the greatness of the Islamic law upon Islam. Whenever you see someone, you know what? He has 30 priors, meaning that he committed 30 different crimes and he caught, was convicted, went to jail and came back out. He killed before or, shot someone before. Anyone with such a lengthy record, every single victim, after the first victim that he committed a crime against, everyone after that in that record, actually the real criminal are the people who did not apply Islamic law upon him the first time. Each and every one of them, after the first crime, when Islamic law was not applied to him, is the responsibility for the system that let him go. And subhanAllah, you come to people, who, let's say, stole something, armed robbery. Like you see, they walk into 7-Eleven, they take the money, they pull the gun, and if the guy saw him, take the chance, shoot him in the head. If each armed robber got his hand cut, guess what? That's the whole punishment. He's not going to jail. He's not costing people money. He's not going inside to learn to be a better, bigger, worse criminal. Each one in our jails in America costs $70 a day on average. It's a huge business. And there's not one single country in the entire world that has a percentage of its population incarcerated in jails like we have in the United States. So again, whenever you hear about these punishments, think that this is a deterrent and it is as mercy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to mankind. Especially in the hadd of zina. If the person and the couple are married and they commit zina, then the hadd is that they will be killed. And some people say, some people are in love or two consenting adults in a hotel. Why would you kill him? And subhanAllah, they talk to you like that. Alright, again, put the hat off that you are ET from another planet. You came to Earth and you want to compare. You have some of the poorest countries in the world, amongst the 57 Muslim countries. And 200 years ago was probably the last days when Sharia was really applied. For the past 200 years, most of them Sharia is not applied with the exception of Saudi Arabia. Yet from the traces and the tradition and the culture, when Sharia was applied, you open the AIDS infection map, for example. They have a map where the most infections are. Millions of people died of AIDS. As poor and least educated and devastated these countries are, you look at the map, there's areas in the world, subhanAllah, AIDS is non-existent. There's no AIDS. Why? You go to places in Africa, a country that almost has no AIDS whatsoever, and the next one, the population is being devastated by AIDS. Amidst the plague. What is the difference? These are Muslim countries. The traces of fearing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the traces of Sharia that was applied over 200 years ago, put the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the culture, in the behavior of people, put shame in people's hearts. So as poor and subhanAllah, poverty and stricken and with least amount of education, that protected them from a famine and a devastation that is devastating the whole entire world. The least amount of divorces in the world are in Muslim countries. The least amount of suicides in the world are in Muslim countries. Why is that? That is a function of a law that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave to us as mercy, and it was applied to us. And actually, one of my debates, I said, you have two countries. One that applied man-made, laws, like America, like the West, and you have a country like Saudi Arabia. Which one do you think would be safer for you to live in? Of course, Saudi Arabia. It's literally almost the safest country in the world to live in.